You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And Shay, man, my heart goes out to all the 24,000 runners who were meant to take part in the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon. It wasn't much of a great weekend for us. How did you find out the race was cancelled? Because I found some of the stories quite funny of how people were finding out. I got woken up by a call. I actually thought I was dreaming when a friend, in fact, my coach called and said, "Yo, there is no marathon anymore." It's like, what are you talking about? That's the first call I received. That's how I actually woke up. So I thought I was dreaming. But if you were also here in Cape Town to run, how did you find out and how did you feel about the decision? And for those who are not running too, do you get why the decision was taken to cancel the marathon? I mean, the winds were quite strong in the morning, though they subsided after a few hours. But for the race organizers, they felt that the race is still unsafe. You know, there are other runners that felt that the start should have been delayed as opposed to cancel. But the infrastructure was destroyed. So most runners were devastated, as you can imagine, rightly so. When you have trained so hard, when you have carbo loaded so hard, you want to run, but you also want to do it in a safe manner. So let me know on 011-883-0702 how you felt about the decision. How did you find out? Or maybe you had a loved one who was running and you were supporting from here in Cape Town, or while you were somewhere in another part of South Africa or out of South Africa. Who are you supporting in? How sad were they? Yeah, it was quite devastated. That's why other people decided to even do the run. Of course, not sanctioned by the Cape Town Marathon, the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, but some people decided to do 42Ks. Some people did half marathons, just ran around maybe 28Ks, because they just felt, what do we do with this adrenaline? Yeah, how did you navigate it? The thing is, there are serious implications to safety issues being picked up by the assessors or evaluators of the Abbott majors. The Cape Town Marathon organizers, remember, have to meet a number of requirements, a number of protocols and stipulations to achieve successful elevation and that major status. So we don't know where things stand now. Even the Cape Town Marathon CEO was saying the chance of becoming a world major was going to be put in jeopardy had we continued. But even now, we don't know how this cancellation affects our bid. But the organizers say, the evaluators and assessors say they're going to be back here in May. So hopefully this cancellation doesn't put our candidacy to be in the majors in peril. But safety first, and that's really what I believe. At least now we're told that as a runner, you're going to have sponsored entries for the 2026 or 2027 marathon, because the marathon is moving to a new season and date. It's now scheduled for the 24th of May, I think. 24th of May. The thing is, there are a number of marathons that happen around that, that quarter. Some people want to do the Two Oceans Marathon. Some people want to do the Paris Marathon. Some people want to do the London Marathon. So now you're going to have the Cape Town Marathon. So for runners, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Rome Marathon, somewhere around there as well. So it's going to be a tricky one for people who always wanted to do Cape Town and also have the opportunity to do the marathons that happen around that period of the year. But yeah, the frustrations, that's just so understandable. People have incurred losses. They came from different parts of the world, and to be told, you're not running anymore is quite of a bummer. But it is what it is. Hey, we move on and we keep on pushing, and hopefully we're going to have a brilliant marathon in May. The ceasefire in the Middle East, is it holding or not? Donald Trump says the ceasefire in Gaza is still in place hours after Israel's military carried out a wave of strikes against the area. Both Israel and Hamas have actually accused each other of breaching the deal. Strikes began in the southern part of Gaza yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, after the Israeli military said Hamas had fired missiles and gunfire towards its troops in Rafah, killing 2 soldiers. Hamas said it was unaware of any clashes in the area under Israeli control. But yesterday evening, Israel had fired into Gaza. 45 people were killed, we are told. Despite this, Trump remains confident that the ceasefire will hold. What do you make of the developments in the Middle East? Let me know, please, on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good day, Clement. Good day, 702 lenders. Abraham in Florida. Clement, sure. It must have been sad for all the runners that gathered there, used their money to gather in Cape Town, right? It's not a cheap exercise, right? But however, I've done events before, so if there is a shadow of a doubt that there could be something that could compromise lives of people, you have to put it to a stop. If it was just a matter of something like maybe a truck that's stuck on the route that people are supposed to run or whatever the case may be, it would have been better. But also, I just read somewhere they say, hey, the runners now know how Mkhwanazi felt when they took away his docket. Did I not laugh?
That's funny, man. That is so funny. Hey, South Africa. In fact, when people were asking why did the marathon get cancelled, you should have seen this famous clip that people were sending around. Every time people were asking, what is the reason for the marathon to be cancelled? And this is the clip that people were sending around. Moya means wind. And hey, if it wasn't for the strong winds yesterday morning, the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon would have continued smoothly. More of your WhatsApp voice notes.
Morning, Clement. I was actually listening to the interview this morning with the CEO of the marathon in Cape Town. I think people misunderstood. So most people kept saying, why couldn't they just maybe start the race in a few hours? The main issue here was that during the night, the organizers could not set up the tables and chairs and all the water stuff. So even if they got to set up things, it doesn't take so many hours, and then it leads into the afternoon where it's now more hot and our runners are unable to run. And at the same time, even if the race went on, the same people were still going to complain that there's no water, there are no tables, and there are no organizers and stuff. So the main issue was not the fact that the weather had subsided later on, but the issue was that the organizers could not set up everything during the night, and that's when the gale was taking place during the night. So yeah, that's the main issue, that they didn't have time to set up the whole race during the course of the night. Thank you. Great show.
Yeah, and that infrastructure being destroyed as well. Yeah, it was tricky. I mean, guys, Cape Town winds can really be hectic. They really can. So even if, to your point, they had delayed and thought, let's delay it a bit, was that enough time for them to set up everything else that needed to be set up, including at the start and the finish, where they were concerned about the infrastructure that was destroyed? But also, as a runner, I just wonder, which marathon then do you prioritize for the first quarter, early next year. I wonder which run you're going to prioritize. Are you going to be able, if you're a Two Oceans person, but you also want to do Cape Town Marathon, or maybe you also want to do Rome, you want to do London, you want to do Paris? What do you do? Yeah? What do you prioritize? And then you've got Comrades coming up soon as well. Let me know. Mark, you're calling us from Centurion. Good morning. Hello, Mark.
A couple of years. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, man. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Now, look, we had a couple of issues with the Cape Town Argus cycle tour as well, where we had wind overnight and they had to cancel the race because people got blown off their bikes and start tires blown over, and even the toilets blown over. So this is not the first time, unfortunately, this happens. But I want to comment about your comment made earlier about the peace deal, and rather the fragile ceasefire that seems to exist. I mean, my personal opinion is that there will never be peace in that sort of area until Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis to a certain degree, but mainly Hamas actually gets disarmed. The fact that last week, after this sort of peace deal got into force, they decide they're going to appoint themselves as the police force to provide security. Reports came out that they shot within a couple of days, I think it was 32 of their rival organization, the Fatah movement, and subsequently execute 8 of the Fatah members publicly in the street. So they are the police, the judge and the executioner, and to shoot 8 people kneeling down in the back of the neck while everybody's watching within a day of them having apparently or allegedly, according to them, committed crimes and so on. I mean, I haven't seen such barbarism and savagery, for a long while. I mean, how do you live your life like that? Well, at the same time, trying to take the moral high ground where they are supposedly, wanting a free Palestine and so on. I mean, if this is the way they're going to conduct themselves and provide security, I mean, everybody in Gaza, and I suppose on the West Bank as well, has to fear for their lives if you can get shot summarily in the street just because they say so. Meanwhile, the bosses live in big mansions in Qatar and in Bahrain and Kuwait, get millions of dollars of aid, and their population doesn't get any of it. What development has Hamas put up in the last 20 years, etc., and so on? So as far as I'm concerned, Hamas must be disarmed. That condition must certainly be met, and then we might have peace in that particular area.
Yeah, well, let's wait and see, Mark, because it is a condition that's part of Israel has always consistently said, for us to see peace, for us to even agree to any ceasefire of sorts, Hamas has to disarm. But Hamas itself says if we disarm, we're going to be left vulnerable because the annexation is going to continue already in the West Bank. And we are just we're going to be in a vulnerable position not to protect ourselves. So how Donald Trump and his negotiators are going to manage the second phase of the ceasefire is going to be interesting. But look, I'm just glad that at least the first phase was negotiated well. That we ended up seeing the hostages being released, and we also saw the political prisoners are being released as well. Now, we need to get to the post-war phase of the situation in the Middle East, and there are disagreements and different opinions as to what shape that must take. It's 22 minutes now after 9 o'clock.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Hi, Clement. With regard, I hope you are well. With regard to the race being cancelled, I think the race organizers did a very, very outstanding job. I think at the time when they meet, the decision had to be made, and looking at the safety of the runners, I think it was important that they had to make that decision. Imagine if they have allowed the race to go on, and at the end of the day we had fatalities. We were going to complain about it, and it was going to damage the image of the race itself. So I think they made the right decisions. But again, as a runner, I believe it was unfortunate that you have to get the message at that early hours, especially 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, everyone is already awake and they're already on their way to the starting line or whatsoever. But yeah, it was just unfortunate for the runners that they had to find out in the early hours of the morning. Thank you.
And Sherman, to be fair on the organizers, I mean, they said from 1 a.m. already, they were trying to figure out where is this weather going. And that's, I mean, the call was made just slightly over an hour before the race was meant to begin. Some of the runners had already been at the start. So, yeah, and I bet you if there were fatalities, some of us are one of the people that would have gotten the CEOs and the emergency guys and ask, why did you let it continue if it didn't meet the safety standards? So we would still be the ones complaining and wanting to hold them accountable. So, yeah, we're always going to be disappointed when a decision like that gets taken. But I believe it's for the best of us and it's for the best of the marathon itself. So that they can still try and push hard to attain that major status. Let's go back to some more WhatsApp voice notes. Okay, I've got some text messages that have come through. Let me read some of those before we return to some more WhatsApps. Vui says, hi Clement, I was informed by my Uber driver that the race was cancelled. I could not believe it. I had to continue to the stadium where I met a lot of disappointed runners. I ended up doing 21 kilometers around the beach with a multitude of other runners. That's a message there from Vuyo. Yeah, Vuyo. That's what some of the runners did. They decided to just, run around. A few people did end up doing the 42 kilometers themselves. But most people just decided to do half or, just a few kilometers around the beach.
Response to your caller that there will never be peace in that Middle East region until Hamas is disarmed. A complete misunderstanding of the problem. Why is Hamas armed? Let's start there. The reality is, or the thinking should be, there won't be peace in that region for as long as Israel refuses the Palestinian people the right to exist and to self-govern. Period. Thanks, Clement. Tabo, Midrand.
Morning, Clement. I was supposed to run the Cape Town Marathon, but decided last month not to because Joburg had been moved up by a few weeks because of the G20 summit, and they didn't want to close roads. And unfortunately, it would have been my last one. Because since it's moved to next year and around that time of the year, there's just too much going on. I usually use it to qualify for Two Oceans, and that's my ultra for the year because I don't run Comrades. Because Comrades is a week after the Ironman in Durban, and that's my poison of choice.
Yeah, you see, and that's the point I was trying to make earlier, that runners have their different poisons of choice, to use your analogy. And that first part of the year is so busy. It is. Like, I know that I either have to do the London Marathon or the Paris Marathon. So now I have to make a difficult choice of, okay, what do I move around? There's Rome, as I said, Two Oceans, Ironman, Ride, Joburg also being moved. Yeah, the athletes are definitely in a moment of confusion. Given what we've seen happen. Ranzu says, Clement, I love South African humor. It's how they turn a sad situation into laughter. And after the reality of the race cancellation, we chuckled about it the whole day. And that's it about, us as South Africans, eh? I love that. I mean, a lot of the runners, the camaraderie on the streets, I mean, a lot of them ended up obviously going out to restaurants to relax, to chill, to have lunch. And there was just sympathy across the board. Like, runners amongst themselves understood how difficult this is for them. So it was great to see that level of brotherhood, of sisterhood even here in Cape Town after that cancellation. All right, it's 29 minutes now. We getting up to the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. And when we come back, we're going to take more of your calls on 011-883-0702. You're welcome to comment about the ceasefire in Gaza. Is it holding? Is it not? In fact, here's what Donald Trump said when he was asked about the ceasefire, given what we saw this past weekend in Gaza.
We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. And as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. You know, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
Is the ceasefire still in place?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Is the ceasefire still in place? And he seems to believe that it really is. Let's hope that it will be holding. But from what we saw this weekend, things are going to be tricky. And the thing is, phase 2 doesn't seem like is as clear-cut and as agreed upon by all the stakeholders. So what does that even mean? It's 9:30.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Sharon, you're in Edenvale. Good morning.
Morning. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi. So what I'm thinking is, I'm a runner myself, but in the past I've also been a race director for Edenvale Marathon, and I think that a lot of people are heartbroken at the moment, but they also don't actually understand the complexity of the behind-the-scenes organizing of a big race event. There's things like insurance, and you pay insurance that is for a certain amount of time for usage on the road. There are traffic cops involved that are employed for so many hours. There are your water point helpers who all come, and if different companies, they tell all their staff that they're working for so many hours on that day. Like I said, there's the insurance and the liability of runners will be on the road for so many hours. You've already arranged for those roads to be blocked for a certain amount of time by the traffic department, and then it gets opened up as the runners move through. So as much as everybody's heartbroken about not being able to run, it's also not that easy just to postpone a race by 2 hours. And it's like people all don't understand the background that's going on in the back. And I think it must have been an extremely hard decision for the Sanlam Marathon race team to actually make to cancel a race.
Yeah, and thanks for giving us that context, Sharon, from someone who has been involved, because sometimes we think it's as easy as delayed by 2 hours, delayed by 3 hours, and we keep on moving. Thanks for that call, Sharon in Edenvale. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Clement, couldn't the organizers at least postpone the race perhaps to 3, 4, 5, 6 hours later? I don't know what is involved to prepare a race, but completely cancelling it seems a lot drastic. Let's hear what experts say.
Yeah, but as Sharon said, it's not an easy decision at all. In fact, let's listen to the CEO of the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon. He spoke to Bongani this morning.
We knew the gusts were coming. We certainly know Weather Bureau is as accurate, I suppose, as we would like it to be. And we had prepared accordingly, but we didn't prepare for gale force gusts. And, you can't prepare for it. The 16 kilometers of fencing we use, because we got such a complicated route, is all over. And the wind was moving it across the roads, through Woodstock, through Salt River, through Main Road. Those fencing was ending up upside down and on the other side of the road. And that's a hazard. That's a massive hazard. We also couldn't at all put up water tables to hydrate our runners. It was not safe for our our staff to put them up right throughout the night. So from after midnight, we were fighting the winds and the damage it was causing.
Yeah.
Our race village was declared unsafe at 2 a.m. And we had all hands on deck in order to rectify any of that which is unsafe. But unfortunately, the powers that be made a call that at 4:45, as you say, that the event has to be cancelled. This will not be a safe event. And primarily so, I think, was the road furniture not being able to set up en route, the fences blowing across the road. But also we had an unsafe race village. So we had people in My City buses locked and loaded at all the different pickup points. We had another 12,000 participants en route. So we couldn't let that 12,000 plus the 6,000 in the buses and in our transport come to an unsafe area. So that was also a primary concern.
Yeah, that's the CEO of the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, Clark Gardner, speaking to my colleague Bongani Bimbo this morning. So issues around infrastructure, not setting up certain things, and all of that just making the race unsafe. More WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. I'll get to them in a moment. Did you hear what Patrice Motsepe said? Was it on Friday? The business mogul. He said that he has no ambition to become the country's president. He was addressing the South African National Editors Forum last week, and he said that he has no plans to enter politics. Because remember, there have been suggestions that he may be vying for office. In fact, Fikile Mbalula had made a similar suggestion before, but I saw in the papers Fikile was speaking somewhere and he's now apologized and withdrawing what he said about Patrice Motsepe, because Patrice Motsepe did come out and say, I'm not really interested in running to be president. I'm not a politician. I just support political parties. So once again, he has tried to clarify that, as much as there's speculation around whether he'll end up being the president of the ANC or running for that position, it's not really something he's interested in. Listen to what he said.
I love people who say that South Africa does not need a rich man to be president. They are so correct. Absolutely correct. There are many people in this country who are incredible people, enormously talented, enormously committed. Let me say this to you. Let me start with Panyaza. Panyaza is premier of Gauteng. That job is a calling. You've got to look at, if you're a mayor of a city or a town, you've got a duty to the people that you lead, but you also have a duty to the Almighty, because there are things that you may do that the people may not see. So make sure when you sleep at night, you are absolutely convinced that everything I'm doing is proper, it's fair, it's just, it's ethical. Being president of a country, it's sacrosanct. Sacrosanct. It's holy.
Yeah, and that's not something that he's ever been interested in, to be president of the country. So he's tried to clarify that, and hopefully that puts it to bed. But I wonder if do you have specific things that you say no to? Like, that's not my thing. Like, imagine if he was approached, and I wouldn't be surprised that he's never been approached. I'm sure there are other people who thought, hey, because actually that's how it works, There are people who will want him to actually run for president, and they'll try to speak to him about it. And then because they want to try and influence him, maybe through the public's response, they leak the news and they position the news as he's considering it. Because what you're doing there is, one, you are going to test the waters. So that gives you a sense of whether, the public or members of the ANC are buying into the idea. But two, if there's overwhelming support and positive reaction, you're able to use that to continue to convince him to run for president. But he has been trying to clarify for a long time now that I am not interested in this. Are there certain things that you are just not interested in and you can't get involved in, and you've said no to them? Like, have you ever been nominated or chosen for something that you have no desire to do? And was it, and regardless of how perhaps profitable or how much money that would make for you or how famous it would make you, but you said no because that's just not your thing. Yeah? Maybe something was proposed to you that you just absolutely thought, I don't want to be part of this. What was it for you? And did you ever regret much later on? Because our brother here seems to be quite confident in the decision he's taken. Share that with us on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Patrick, you're calling us from Macau. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
Kim Natuena.
Now, on the issue of being nominated, I was nominated as a treasurer for a local football association under SAFA called Madiveng Football Association. But based on the politics and also the shenanigans that goes with football, because I'm a former writer as a journalist, so we could write stories about SAFA, you know what I'm talking about. So it was quite difficult for me to go into that pot. But I was quite happy, but I was also gracious that I was in a space of 2 years since taking a project in Macau that has to do with football and netball, that they saw me as a potential candidate for that position. It was quite something because most people wanted me to be there, but my instinct said to me, don't go there. And I can tell you, I'm so happy with the decision that I took.
Yeah, in hindsight, you're like, good that I actually acted in this way. Patrick in Macau, thank you so much for calling us. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Hey, morning, Clem. Aubrey and Fosnoas. Clement, the comments of Mr. Motsepe, it's a bit surprising. I was just expecting him to say, no, I'm not interested in politics. I'm not part of it. I won't enter into it. But the fact that now he's endorsing a certain candidate in Panyaza, I don't know what's really happening. He has already entered himself into politics by the mere fact that now he's saying, yeah, Panyaza can be a good president. It's a calling. I mean, we don't want to get into politics. Already we are in politics. If you talk about a calling for someone who was fumigating schools, someone whose party is riddling corruption. So I think Motsepe was just supposed to say, no, I'm not interested in politics, not entertain some leaders of the ANC or some people in politics can be calling or something. Thanks, Clement.
I don't know, but is that fair? Is that what really he has done? I mean, that's not the impression particularly I got. I thought he's using him as an example. In fact, Abel, can you play that clip again? Can we listen to it again? Because maybe some of us are misunderstanding what he said. Maybe we're not getting it. Maybe he is, in fact, trying to put Panyaza up, but that's not the impression I got. I thought he's just using it as an example that there are certain people who are serving as leaders, who are passionate about it, and there are just other people who are not, and he's one of those people who has never considered really going into it. But this is what he said.
I love people who say that South Africa does not need a rich man to be president. They are so correct. Absolutely correct. There are many people in this country who are incredible people, enormously talented, enormously committed. Let me say this to you. Let me start with Panyaza. Panyaza is premier of Gauteng. That job is a calling. You've got to look at, if you're a mayor of a city or a town, you've got a duty to the people that you lead, but you also have a duty to the Almighty, because there are things that you may do that the people may not see. So make sure when you sleep at night, you are absolutely convinced that everything I'm doing is proper, it's fair, it's just, it's ethical. being president of a country, it's sacrosanct. Sacrosanct. It's holy.
I mean, how is that endorsing Panyaza? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody understand that conversation differently? What he was saying there, I thought he was just using him as an example. More of your WhatsApps.
Top of the morning, Mr. Manyathela and 702 lenders. You know, sometimes when you want something, you act as if you don't. Then, chigi, I am the servant of the people. Ngiyaphela lapho. Thanks for a great show, Tsepo in Boxburg.
Hey, Tsepo, you're right. Sometimes it happens exactly like that. It happens exactly like that, where they are all conservative and they're like, no, not really. And then boom, closer to the time. Yeah, but if I'm called, if the movement calls on me to respond, I will respond to the call. So, yeah, fair point.
Hey, Clement, how's it? With me, I remember it was my final year at university. And then I was offered to be SRC president. I remember our party had won one seat. Then we were offered to choose the seat between the secretary and the president. Then we optioned for president. Then I was offered to be the president of the SRC there. Yeah, I refused. No, I refused. I don't think I had the confidence back then. But now I'm regretting because those comrades, I think it paved the way for them. Thanks.
Yeah. Joel on the WhatsApp line says, hi, Clement. I think Patrice Motsepe was using Panyaza merely as an example. In fact, he was making a point to the current government about how things should be run in the country, that they should dedicate themselves fully to this great responsibility. Yeah, Joe, that's how I actually understood that clip. But somebody else says, Clement, Lessufi was there with Patrice Motsepe at the event. They were sitting right next to each other. I was there too. That's someone on the WhatsApp line. Yeah, but still, nothing there somehow is so expressly clear. And it just endorses and also endorse what? Because Panyaza has also not come out to say he's running for president. Did he? I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying he's not planning to. But he has not said that either. And nothing in that clip actually positions him as the best. I mean, endorsements, really, if you want to make an endorsement, it will be clear that it is an endorsement. That's not the impression I got. But yeah, we'll hear what the other listeners think and how they've heard it. It's going up to, in fact, 5 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 2 minutes before 10 o'clock. We are getting ready to get to the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. I see that the evidence of one of the witnesses at the Madlanga Commission has started in camera. And remember, I said I do want to take you live to the Madlanga Commission because today we're hearing from the people who were close to investigations. Remember, when Mkhwanazi was there, even when Dumisani Khumalo was there, General Khumalo, General Mkhwanazi, even General Masemola, many of them didn't really get to the details of the allegations, especially information around the Big Five and the cartels that are operating in the province. So they kept on referencing that, yes, they gave their own evidence, but they referenced that there will be more evidence shared by investigators. So today at the Madlanga Commission, we're going to be hearing partial in-camera evidence. There are 3 witnesses that are testifying this morning. They will testify remotely. Their voices will be audible over the next 2 days. The witnesses form part of a team investigating criminal cartels that have been operating in Gauteng. So I'm hoping that we're going to hear more information about who is part of this cartel and what have they been able to advance in as far as their investigation is concerned. So that's what's coming up after the news.